Today we are reading one of my Walt Disney Storyland's 55 favorite stories, and then we're going to read Goliath 2. All right. Story and pictures by Bill Peet. Once upon a time, in a faraway jungle, there lived a tiny elephant. His name was Goliath the Second. I called it Goliath 2. The Goliath the Second. And he was just barely 5 inches tall. He was so small, he couldn't even pull up a daisy.
"I'll never grow up," said little Goliath sadly. "I'll never be a giant elephant like my father."
His father, Great Goliath the First, was the biggest tusker in the whole jungle and the leader of the elephant herd. He was so huge and powerful he could uproot the biggest tree without even trying.
"It's not fair," he grumbled. "Why should I have a little bit of a..."
"Oh, it's not fair," he grumbled. "Why should I have a little bit of a son who can't even pull up a daisy?" But Goliath's mother, like most mothers, was proud of her little son no matter what. She didn't care one whit about uprooting trees or pulling up daisies. "Don't worry, Goliath," she said. "Brute strength isn't everything. You'll amount to something one day. Just wait and see." Raising such a tiny son in the dense and savage jungle was a problem. Mother Goliath's number one problem was Raja, a crafty old tiger who could hardly take his greedy eyes off of little Goliath.
"I've always been curious to taste an elephant," said old Raja, "and now at last I've found one, just bite-sized."
But Goliath's mother wasn't taking any chances. She kept a sharp eye on her little son every minute of the day. And at night, she tucked him safely into bed in an empty bird's nest high on a tree limb. Each day, the elephants took a dip in the river, and little Goliath was left on the bank to splash and play in one of his mother's huge footprints.
"Now, stay right here where I can see you," she warned. "Don't you dare leave your pond. Now, I mean it."
Goliath was getting tired of being treated like a baby.
"I'm nearly 8 years old," he said. "I'm old enough to look out for myself."
One day, when his mother wasn't looking, Goliath left his footprint pond and wandered off down the elephant trail. It was a perfect day for running away. The jungle was sunny and warm and very, very quiet. There was only the gentle whisper of the breeze and the sound of footsteps. Soft, velvety footsteps. And they weren't Goliath's. Suddenly, he saw 2 pale, yellow eyes peering through the grass. It was old Raja. Goliath tried to run, but he tripped on his trunk and fell flat on his face. Raja sprang into the air, but he never came down. Something had old Raja by the tail. It was Goliath's mother, and she was furious.
"You bloodthirsty old scoundrel," she screamed.
She swung him around and around like a yo-yo until his head was spinning. Then, with all her strength, Goliath's mother sent that old tiger flying high over the treetops and all the way across the river to the far end of the jungle. That was the end of old Raja. At least the old tiger was never seen again in the part of the jungle. But that wasn't the end of little Goliath's troubles. For one thing, his mother gave him a good, sound spanking with a blade of grass. This didn't hurt Goliath half as much as one scornful look from his father, Great Goliath the First. Goliath had broken one of the first laws of the herd. A runaway elephant is called a rogue and a traitor, and treated as a criminal. Little Goliath had never felt quite so small in all his life, and as an elephant, he was a failure. One afternoon, as big Goliath led the herd down the elephant trail toward the river, something happened. A most terrifying thing. There in the path was a fuzzy little creature with black, beady eyes and a string tail. "A mouse!" cried Big Goliath. "It's a mouse! Run for your lives!" The herd went crashing off through the jungle in a wild stampede and leaped into the river. There they stayed, trembling with terror, and with only the tips of their trunks sticking out of the water. Only little Goliath stood his ground. He didn't move a muscle or blink an eye.
"Hi, what's the trouble, Buster?" said the mouse. "Are you scared stiff?" "I'm not scared at all," said Goliath. "I'm just as big as you are."
"Well, that's not the point. I'm a mouse, and you're an elephant, and elephants are afraid of mice."
"Why?" asked Goliath.
"I'll show you why," said the mouse. In a flash, he seized Goliath by the trunk, whirled him into the air, and slammed into the ground. Then the mouse jumped up and down on Goliath's head and pinned him to the ground by his ears. "Do you give up, Jumbo?"
"Never,"
said Goliath. And with a wild kick, he sent them both tumbling in the grass. They rolled over and over and came close to the edge of a steep cliff. Down below, an old crocodile was waiting for someone to drop in for dinner. Just anyone. The mouse pushed Goliath toward the edge. "Over you go, Buster," he said. But Goliath saw the crocodile. Desperately, he grabbed for the mouse's tail and seized it in his trunk. Then, with a sudden jerk, he swung the mouse out over the cliff, right over the wide open jaws of the crocodile. "Please, let me down," cried the mouse. "I'll give up. You win, old pal, okay?"
"Okay,"
said Goliath, and the battle was over. As a reward for his great victory, Goliath was given the very highest position in the elephant herd, a place of honor on his proud father's head. And the whole herd kept a kindly eye on little Goliath, for they didn't want to lose him. Happiest of all was Goliath's mother. "I always knew you'd amount to something one day," she said proudly. Good night. I love you.